For over 1,000 years, it was nothing more than a ghost story. A myth whispered by ancient historians, etched onto crumbling papyrus, and lost to the relentless march of time. They said there was once a city of unimaginable wealth, a gateway to the land of the Pharaohs, where Greek heroes walked and where gods were worshipped in temples of colossal scale. They said the sea swallowed it whole. For centuries, modern scholars believed it was merely a legend, a cautionary tale of hubris, much like Atlantis. But the sea does not always keep its secrets. Beneath the murky waters of the Mediterranean, just miles off the coast of modern-day Egypt, the myth is real. Welcome to Thonis-Heracleion, the sunken emporium of the ancient world. To understand the magnitude of this discovery, we must first travel back in time. Long before the foundation of Alexandria in 331 BC, the Nile Delta was the beating heart of maritime trade in the Mediterranean. And at the mouth of the Great River, acting as the mandatory port of entry into Egypt, stood a city of unparalleled importance. To the Egyptians, it was known as Thonis. To the Greeks, who traded heavily there, it was Heracleion. For a long time, historians believed these were two apparent rival cities. Classical writers like Herodotus, Diodorus, and Strabo all wrote of its grandeur. Herodotus, the father of history, visited Egypt in the 5th century BC and wrote of a magnificent temple dedicated to Heracles, built where the hero first set foot on Egyptian soil. Legend even claimed that before the Trojan War, Helen of Troy and her lover Paris sought refuge in Thonis-Heracleion, fleeing the wrath of Menelaus. It was a cosmopolitan hub, the New York City of antiquity, where Greek merchants and Egyptian priests walked the same sun-baked streets, exchanging goods, ideas, and cultures. At its center stood the grand temple of Amun-Gareb, the supreme god of the Egyptians. Here, new pharaohs came to receive the divine title of their power. It was a city of immense wealth, collecting taxes and customs duties from every ship that sought the treasures of Egypt. Yet, despite its fame, its wealth, and its divine protection, Thonis-Heracleion simply vanished. By the 8th century AD, no trace of the city remained above the waves. The emporium of the world was erased from the map. How does a sprawling metropolis simply disappear? And more importantly, how do you find a city when you don't know exactly where to look? Enter Franck Goddio, a mathematician turned underwater archaeologist and the founder of the European Institute for Underwater Archaeology, or IEASM. In the late 1990s, Goddio set his sights on Abu Qir Bay. But this was no simple scuba diving expedition. Finding Thonis-Heracleion required an unprecedented marriage of historical research and cutting-edge technology. The waters of Abu Qir Bay are notoriously difficult to navigate. The Nile dumps millions of tons of sediment into the sea, turning the water into a murky soup. Visibility is often less than a few feet. Visual searching was impossible. Goddio's team had to map a massive 110 square kilometer area using nuclear magnetic resonance magnetometers, side-scan sonar, and sub-bottom profilers. They weren't looking for visual ruins. They were listening for magnetic anomalies beneath the clay. For years, the bay yielded nothing but mud and frustration. But in the year 2000, the instruments registered massive anomalies just 6.5 kilometers off the current coastline, resting under a mere 30 feet of water. Divers were sent down into the gloom. What they found beneath the sand sent shockwaves through the archaeological community. It wasn't just a shipwreck. It wasn't just a few stray artifacts. It was an entire sprawling city, frozen in time. The ghost had materialized. The sheer volume and scale of the artifacts recovered from Thonis-Heracleion are staggering. Goddio's team hadn't just found a settlement. They had unlocked a time capsule of Ptolemaic Egypt. One of the first major discoveries was an intact 2-meter-high black granite stele. When translated, the hieroglyphs confirmed the incredible truth. The decree carved upon it explicitly stated that it was to be erected in Thonis-Heracleion, in one stroke of the chisel. The debate was settled. Thonis and Heracleion were not two cities, but one, united in stone and sea. But the stele was dwarfed by the guardians of the Grand Temple. Divers uncovered 3 colossal statues, each standing over 16 feet tall and weighing over 5 tons. 2 represent an unidentified Ptolemaic pharaoh and his queen. The third is a staggering representation of Hapi, the Egyptian god of the Nile flood, symbolizing abundance and fertility. It is the largest known statue of this god ever discovered, a testament to the city's reliance on the river's life-giving waters. Beyond the monumental, the city yielded the intimate details of daily life and unimaginable wealth. Over 10,000 artifacts have been cataloged. Archaeologists discovered dozens of sarcophagi containing the mummified remains of animals sacrificed to the gods. They found intricate bronze statuettes of Osiris, hundreds of tiny lead weights used by merchants to measure goods, and a staggering hoard of gold coins, jewelry, and amulets. Perhaps most astonishing is the maritime graveyard found within the city's ancient harbor. Over 70 ancient shipwrecks have been discovered here, the largest collection of ancient ships ever found in one place. Among them, they found over 700 ancient anchors. Furthermore, the excavation of Ship 17 provided spectacular confirmation of Herodotus's writings. He had described a specific type of Egyptian river cargo ship called a Baris, featuring unique crescent-shaped hulls and internal ribbing. Until the discovery of Thonis-Heracleion, no such ship had ever been found. The sea had preserved what the land could not. But gazing upon this sunken splendor begs a terrifying question. How does a city of such massive stone temples, a city teeming with tens of thousands of people, end up swallowed by the sea? The demise of Thonis-Heracleion was not the result of a single apocalyptic day, but rather a slow-motion disaster culminating in a violent finale. The city was built on the unstable foundation of the Nile Delta, a shifting landscape of clay and sand islands. Over centuries, the sheer, crushing weight of the massive granite temples and colossal statues caused the land to slowly subside, a process known as localized sinkage. Add to this the natural rise in global sea levels over antiquity, and the city was already living on borrowed time. But the final blows were dealt by the earth itself. Geological surveys of the underwater ruins show evidence of catastrophic seismic activity. Sometime around the 8th century AD, a combination of severe earthquakes and subsequent tidal waves struck the coastline. The intense shaking of the ground triggered a terrifying geological phenomenon known as soil liquefaction. When water-saturated sediment is subjected to the violent shaking of an earthquake, it instantly loses its strength and stiffness. The solid ground beneath Thonis-Heracleion literally turned to liquid mud. The massive stone buildings, with nothing solid left to support them, plunged violently into the earth, dragging the city into the sea. In the blink of an eye, the water rushed in to claim the ruins, burying the emporium of the ancient world beneath layers of sand and clay, where it would sleep undisturbed for 1,200 years. Today, the excavation of Thonis-Heracleion is far from over. In fact, it has barely begun. Franck Goddio and his team estimate that despite over 2 decades of continuous underwater digging, they have only uncovered perhaps 5 to 10% of the total area of the city. Thonis-Heracleion is a submerged Pompeii, a site so vast and so rich in history that it will occupy archaeologists for generations to come. What this city teaches us is profound. It forces us to rewrite our history books, providing tangible proof of the deep, intertwined relationship between the Greek and Egyptian civilizations. It shows us how ancient economies functioned, how their religions blended, and how they built their ships. But Thonis-Heracleion also stands as a stark, silent warning. It reminds us of the fragility of human endeavor. No matter how wealthy a civilization becomes, no matter how massive its temples or how powerful its gods, we remain at the mercy of the natural world. The earth can shift, the seas can rise, and the greatest cities of the world can be reduced to myths, waiting in the dark for a beam of light to find them once again. The myth was real, and its secrets are finally surfacing. To know more about our world, subscribe to the Facts Tube.